Hello, welcome back to Silver Thread Sewing. I'm Diane. So today I thought I might share with you some of my non-garment sewing items that I've made. I started out quilting when I was real young because my grandmother quilted. So that's kind of the first thing I started learning to do. And I'm still not sure I learned like the correct way of doing everything. Oh, I know I probably didn't actually, but it works. And I've had some pretty quilts come from the adventure over the years. I've made a lot of baby quilts. I've made a lot of full-size quilts. I don't have but more than a couple. I think I have 2 quilts that I've made. The rest I've given away. Some I have pictures of and some I don't. Just because back before the phones became such a big deal, I didn't really take pictures of everything. Or if I did, they're just printed and I don't even know where those guys are. So you understand, I hope. But anyway, I just thought I would share a few things with you, and I don't want the video to be real long. So I'll do maybe quilts in this video, and then in the next one, maybe I'll show you some of the tote bags and wallets I've made in the past. As you can see behind me, I have lots of strawberry things. I collect strawberries. It started out years ago that I collected them mostly in the kitchen, but they've kind of migrated and they're kind of all over the house. And I've made my curtains, which are strawberry curtains, or strawberry fabric curtains. And I have quite a vast collection of strawberry things, so I might take a couple pictures of those one day and show you my strawberry collection or parts of it. But I love strawberries, love to eat them, love the way they look, love the red, the green, the white, love all the colors. And this was a gift from a good friend of ours a long time ago, so this is getting old. But it's well loved, put it that way. But anyway, some of the quilts that I've made a lot of baby quilts, like I said. They're usually 45 by 60 and just polyfill in the center and 100% cotton everywhere else, for the majority of them. I've made some, and I'll try to insert some pictures. Hearts and butterflies used to be a real big thing. I would get like the coloring page, just print off a black and white simple coloring page offline from somewhere and cut out the various pieces and then cut it out of fabric. And the way that I like to do is to take lightweight interfacing and sew around the edge of my cutout piece that I want to apply. I like to place the glue side of the interfacing to the right side of the fabric and sew around the edge at a 1/4 inch. Trim it or clip the curves if need be, and turn it, make a little slit in the interfacing right in the center of the back side, and then turn it, and when you turn it out, then the glue side is facing your foundation block and the right side of the fabric's facing up, and it encloses that raw edge so it doesn't ravel. And then you can fuse it down with the iron and applique around it then, and I've had a lot of good success with that. But if you want to know more about that, I know that's not a great explanation, but if you want any more information about that, I'd be glad to tell you. I've made a lot of owls and hearts, and I made a couple that were just kind of made up, and I used the Dresden plate pieces and made flowers. I've done a couple chevron quilts, airplanes and stars. One that I was particularly proud of was horseshoes, and it had like cowboy hats and stars on it. And one was cowboys that had the little lasso, the horseshoes and boots. And that was a really easy one to do because the boots were like, 2 pieces, I think, 2 or 3. The boot and then the star on the side and maybe the top, the little pull-on strap at the top. I'm not sure if I put those, I don't remember, but I'll put pictures in. And then I've made some little Irish chain baby quilts, a purple one, so a girl's was what it was for. Some airplanes with just shape blocks. I've made, for my grandson, I've actually made a fireman quilt, the red line. So I made him one of those, just kind of, I had an inspiration picture that I went by. I actually made my father-in-law a quilt, just kind of a throw-size quilt. He was in the military, and he had spent time in the early 50s in Japan, and he loved Japan, loved it. And so I made him a quilt, and it had, of course, the American eagle with the flag colors, and had a flag, and it had, I got printable fabric and printed some maps of Japan and some of the places that he had been. I printed those on fabric and put that on the block. I put some personal stuff like his family names and embroidered those with my machine. Just different things like that, and made that for him, and that was a real big hit, and he kept that till he passed away in 2020. I made my son an Irish chain quilt, but his favorite colors are black and white. I don't know where he gets that with all the colors in my rainbow, but he likes black and white, and I think I added some gold colors to it, but I made him an Irish chain that was very unique for him. I've made 2 or 3. I think I've made 3. I made my dad a full-size Irish chain, and I made us one, and I made a friend of ours one. So I've made about 3 of those in the muslin, and I'd really like to make some with a different background color, maybe a little darker than muslin, because that shows dirt. We sleep with the beagle every night, and, you know, it doesn't stay clean very long, and I don't like to wash them, you know, real often. So I don't use it on our bed now. I have one that I made recently and just finished it a couple weeks ago, and I used for it the jelly roll race tutorial, but I didn't buy the jelly roll. I just used scraps that I had, because I have tons of cotton scraps, and I cut 2.5-inch strips. Some are short, some are longer, some are middle-sized, you know, but they're all 2.5 inches wide. And then sew them together at the short ends, press them, and then decide how wide I wanted my quilt, and just kept adding to that first width. It would be the width, and I pieced that quilt or the top in a day, and then I tacked it, or some people call it tying, I believe, but I tacked that with crochet thread, because my hands are kind of arthritic, and sorry about that. I think my phone just moved, but my hands have arthritis, so I have a little bit of trouble quilting by hand now, and sometimes even on the machine, my hands get tired real easy. And then 2 more quilts that I'll tell you about real quick. I was asked to make a memory quilt a few years ago. A baby was due, and its grandfather had passed away recently at that time, just before the baby came. And the family asked me to do a memory quilt, and they had a farm, so they wanted it to be tractor related. And they brought me his shirts. Some of the shirts were woven, some were knit. And so I used a stabilizer and fusible backing of some sort to some of it. So the sunshine that's in the corner, that was one of his shirts. It's almost neon green, and it was a stretch fabric. And so I did that in the corner, and then we had the tree that I put behind the barn or beside the barn. The bark on the tree was made from the sleeves of one of his shirts that had camouflage print on it. So I made that into the tree trunk. And then the barn and all the tractors are just more of his shirts. And then a year ago, I was asked to make another one from what was left, because there was another little boy on the way. And I used some local inspiration for that one. There in North Carolina, if you're familiar with it, there's a place called Grandfather Mountain. And it's, you know, people come from all over to see Grandfather Mountain. We have the mile-high swinging bridge, and Mildred the bear was there for years till she passed away, and they still have bears and otter and all kinds of animals, and it's just a really great trip if you're ever in Western North Carolina to go to Grandfather Mountain. But anyway, for that quilt, I decided to try and make a landscape type quilt. So my mountain range is supposed to look similar or inspired by Grandfather Mountain. Hopefully it does. and then it has the barn and a tractor, and the wagon behind the tractor is pulling wood and like sticks of stove wood, and the wood is made from those that same camouflage print on the shirt sleeves. So all the different things around there, the barn and all that, is made from the scraps from his shirt. So that was very special, and I enjoyed that and appreciated being asked to do a second one. I've made a lot of pillows, some butterfly pillows, and you know, just a lot of little things like that I made for all of our veterans in our church. I made them all Dresden pillows, but it's made out of red, white, and blue fabric, so it was reminiscent of the flag, but it was a little pillow. And I made several, well, I made all of our veterans in the church at the time one of those. So that's just a few of the things. Hopefully I've been able to put pictures in, and you've been able to see those as I was talking about them. But just a few of the things that I've made that are not garment related. And I might do a video of tote bags and wallets, and maybe show you my strawberries and curtains in that one. But I don't want the video to be too long. And if you're not interested in non-garment sewing, it's probably not something you watched, and that's fine. But I just thought it'd be something to share with you and let you know a little bit about what I've been doing all these years. But I hope everybody's well. And I thank you for joining me on Silver Thread Sewing. Bye.